and welcome to the Outliers Edge podcast. My name is Niiamah Ashong, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey. An epic journey filled with tosses and turns, ups and downs, and continuously ways to find a way to uplift yourself and those around you. Today, on this podcast, we are going to have I'm sorry, I tried. I really tried outliers. I tried to be epic. I tried to bring epic voice, but I just couldn't keep it going. It's good to be in space with you today. We're gonna have an amazing conversation with three awesome outliers who are gonna share about how they keep finding ways to level up as they increase their impact, their income, and their integrity. All right. Let's get a chance to get to know these outliers here. I'm going to start up with you, Nate, and I'll come to you, Dorcas. Nate, would you mind letting us know more about you and the game you currently play?
Yeah, and really wonderful to be here, Niiamah. I just love your energy. I love the style you bring to a podcast. I've been listening to some of your episodes and just really enjoy. It's different. It's not just like this kind of boring scripted thing. I actually really like the spontaneity, and I think that's a big part of some of my strengths. I really like kind of coming into a situation and just kind of being ready for anything. I used to be a soccer goalie, so I'm always just like, just shoot, I'll catch. So um, so I think that kind of led me to I've always been into mind body work, into yoga, and I've now gotten really into something called nonviolent communication, which is a system of communication that tries to dismantle judgments and labels and tries to get in touch with feelings and needs and allows people to communicate in a way even when they vehemently disagree or they see the other as an enemy, to be able to find common ground and to be able to resolve differences, to be authentic and honest. And so that is something that really fires me up, and that's something that I love to share. I love to talk with people about it, and so I was excited to come on today and kind of explore this with all of you.
Well, I appreciate it, Nate. I'm glad that you're here. Um, there's a lot that's coming through me. I think one thing that came up is like I play beach handball now. I live in San Diego, so I'm playing beach handball, and I'm a
Yeah,
goalie as well. And so
hell yeah.
like yeah, so I'm like I totally get it. It's like I don't know, just throw the ball and I'll take
Right.
care of it from there. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing that in. And then the second thing that I really want to call in is like whether or not we talk about nonviolent communication specifically or explicitly.
Mhm.
My invitation is for you to, and I think you're already doing this here, to be the model of what that looks like in
Yeah.
space there. I think there's something really about that, and it goes back to the experience versus expertise. Like I'm really excited to get an
Mm,
experience of someone who is thinking about these things in a very
mm.
meaningful way. All right.
Yeah, love it.
All right, Nate, I appreciate you being here. Dorcas, let's make sure the outliers get a chance to get to know you. Can you tell us more about you and the game that you play?
Okay, thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited. This is like a very great opportunity to be here to be able to express my gift. So once again, my name is Dorcas and I'm a qualified nurse. I'm a registered nurse in the UK, and I've grown up basically, I've always had passion to impact in people's lives. Hence why I went into nursing, because I'm able to care for them and impact in their lives. And on the side, I'm a writer. So I write on this platform called Substack. And there I write mostly about it's a religion, Christianity. So I write to impact people's life, encourage them. I have so much passion for encouraging people and impacting in their lives one way or the other through my speech. I believe I have good giftings in terms of impacting in people's lives. So I do a lot of writings, and yeah, I just have great passion for basically impacting people's life, how to encourage them if you're going through hard times, how I'm able to basically coach people or counsel people. And yeah, that's pretty much about me. Yeah, thank you.
And Dorcas, we're gonna play. You said express my gift, and my body went tingling when you said that. And I'm like, okay, because I'm like, oh, you opened the door. You're talking gifts. Then we gotta really play here. I cannot wait to experience that gift. Like beyond just the expression, I cannot wait to be in the experience of it here. Actually, I'm already in. So thank you for that. Thank you for bringing that. Celine, why don't we get to know you and the game that you're playing?
Thank you. First off, thanks for having me on here. I really appreciate it. But the game I'm playing is so from a young age I've really struggled with mental health. I was adopted as a child, and that's already a double whammy, like when it comes to, your mental development. So all through my childhood I struggled with mental health, and like the word mental health or the phrase mental health wasn't in my vocabulary. So I didn't know what I was struggling with. No one in my family did. No one knew how to help me, and I didn't know how to help myself. So as I'm getting older and I'm learning more lessons, I'm getting wiser, and I now have that understanding of mental health and how to take care of myself. I just want to give that back to other people. I don't want there to be any child out there who is struggling, whose parents just think they're a bad kid and who they think, I don't know what's wrong with me. So just by sharing my story and becoming a therapist in the future, I just want to empower people and create a system for parents and for kids that's going to give them the resources they need.
Well, I appreciate you stepping into that, and I appreciate all of you like bringing in. Like I see that you all stand for something more than yourselves, and I really I don't know y'all my peoples from there. All right, let's continue playing this game here. Uh, what's coming for me is the element of like expressing your gift or experiencing your gift, and I kind of want to start off there. Yeah, I think I want to play in it here. So I want you all to think about one of the gifts that you have. Oh, I know how I want to say this. Now, like to play this game, can y'all enter into what I call the brag zone? It's not about actually being bragging and everything like that, but it's just like a place where like we don't have to worry about being humble or coming off arrogant or, you know, being too tall for our britches or anything. I just want to like I talk to you about how the importance of honesty for me. And so I just want to create enough space for us to just like say what's real. All right, y'all get to play with that? Awesome. So a few years ago, I was at an event, and I think I was complaining about something, or I wanted to do something, and the person who was leading our group looked at me and she said, "Oh, Niiamah, you've never been in a room without you, have you?" And that like the sheer awesomeness of that statement, like I got it. And so I want to bring that into our space here, and we'll use the same order that we use to introduce ourselves for each to answer this question. Again, with the space of like allowing yourself to be in the brag zone. I'll start with you, Nate. uh what's something that enters a room once you enter the room, and what's something that leaves a room when you leave it? And it might be the same thing or it might be something different, but I'm curious for you what shows up for you.
Yeah, interesting question. I'm reminded of that. There's the old phrase. I think Oscar Wilde said, "Some people bring happiness wherever they go, and some people bring happiness whenever they go." Right. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a, throwing shade, but anyway, I couldn't help but think of that because yeah, you think about yourself. Yeah, like am I a person who brings happiness into a room, or am I a person who brings happiness when I leave a room? So I think, if I were to think of my gifts, what I hope I can't really tell, but I hope that my contribution is sense of balance and harmony. I think that if a room is hyper and chaotic, I think I can bring in a sense of calm and presence. If something is kind of, boring or tired, maybe I can bring in some energy. So I think for me, I have an ability to play on both sides and to be able to balance things out, whatever is needed. And yeah, I'd say that's one of the things, that I could bring, one of my gifts, I suppose.
Yeah, I have like Denzel Washington on my mind. He's been showing up on my feed right now. I'm like, oh, Nate's like the new equalizer.
Okay.
Like yeah, like you can make this, you can make this work. All right,
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. And thanks for leaning into it. I love to explore both how you lean into that and make that happen for you, and also some of the places where it goes off on the other side. So I appreciate. Actually, let me just ask you right now before I go there, Nate. You talk about balance here. What's the dark side of this gift for you?
Yeah, for sure. I was kind of thinking that too, because I suppose the dark side is like feeling like a chameleon, it's like, oh, then who am I? What do I stand for? Am I only a reactor? Do I only react to things? am I only playing off of other people's energy or an external situation? So I suppose that leads to kind of questions of, yeah, like really self-reflection. Like, when do I perhaps need to be a disruptor, or where can I lean into a situation? Maybe I need to kind of be able to be uncomfortable in a situation a little bit longer without trying to just make it all equal and, you know, Hakuna Matata. So it's like, I suppose that could be the shadow side of that too, right?
Oh, that's a really interesting. I appreciate like just so you know, I'm known in some circles. My persona is misunderstood chameleon. So when you said that, I
Oh,
have my version
yeah.
of that there. Um,
What does that mean to you?
um, so I what it means for me is that or at least to me, is that I have this feeling that people don't really get what I'm saying, and I can't really
Mm,
share my vision. I think I'm speaking clearly,
mm,
and I'm so afraid of being misunderstood that I actually mask my words. Instead of just saying what I want to say directly, I
mm,
will circumvent it. I'll walk around it. I'll start using dictionary words, all that things. Just be like, this is the most precise way of saying it, but I'm not really
mm,
saying anything because I'm so afraid of being misunderstood that I actually accidentally create that as a reality. I think it's part of the why I look at like the honesty as like it's actually my if I don't have honesty, if I don't speak with honesty, I start like I don't lie, but I obfuscate the truth, I just
mm,
I and so that was one of the bigger things for me where I realized like I believe that I'm misunderstood and I'm someone that will walk into a room, see I have a thing about safety and I'm often one of the first or one of a kind in the rooms that I enter. And so the chameleon part for me was let me come in the room, let me assess the situation, who's on top, what's the culture here, what gets rewarded, what like all that stuff. And then like let me be, it's an interesting way I play it, but like I know I don't fit in. So for years I chose to fit out, which is
mm.
to be like that guy, whether it was the token or whatever it was, like I was that guy. And so now misunderstood chameleon is where I can show up when I'm not actually allowing myself to simply belong and to be true to me. And all the different manifestations come in that way.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking as you were saying that, it's almost like I relate to that in a way where it's like, okay, instead of saying what I want to say, it's like, okay, what would make sense to this person and what would make sense to this person, and trying to speak to my perceptions of them rather than just saying what I want to say, right? Is that kind
That's
of what you mean?
yeah, I think like as you were talking, there was this, I was like, I feel like when Nate ends up being like the maverick, I'll talk about the outlier, but like the maverick to me is a person who doesn't like is like into space and it doesn't matter what's happening. It's like I want to go right
Uh,
because I'm going right,
yeah, yeah,
like not
right.
because like they're independent of the situation. That's what
Mm,
I felt like as you were talking about that. I was thinking about that as well. So we're gonna keep playing with this here. Um, yeah, when I say playing with it, I'm like, I don't want to just talk about it. I want to play with it in this conversation. So I'm going to call myself in outliers anytime I move into chameleon mode, or if my language starts to get like flowery or whatever, it's like I'm stepping into misunderstood mode. And I guess what I'll do is to bring it into practice and call myself in on that and be honest around that as it goes along. Awesome. Thanks, Nate. Thanks for getting us started with this one here. Dorcas, let's come to you. You brought in the gift here. So what enters a room when you enter it?
Okay, for me, I would say what enters the room. I think for me, it's uplifting everyone. I feel
Mm.
like I'm a spirit uplifter. As soon as I enter the room, and I like automatically, because I think it's no, I know it's a gifting that I have. And then when I begin to converse with people, there's just that connection, there's just that spirit, or there's just that vibe that goes in, and like suddenly like encouraging that person in whatever situation they're going through. So that way I believe I'm impacting in their lives, because this is what I like doing. This is what I have passion for. So when I go in a room, I'm uplifting everyone. I'm making them, so for people who are not optimistic, I'm basically making them optimistic about life, trying to help them see a different perspective of life, and basically bringing hope again. If that makes sense. Yes.
So you know you're in a place. This is the other side of misunderstood chameleon. I basically, I understand everyone. I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense here, right? Know that you'll be understood, and if you're not, we will ask. We'll be like, can you clarify that? Um, and that like that's yeah, I don't know. I it's something I deeply wanted in life, where I'm just like, can you just ask a clarifying question like that will get us there, right? So Dorcas, let me ask you this question here. So I'm hearing one side of things. What's the dark side of this gift for you?
Um, for me, I think it's overly like exceeding, like going over my boundaries. So, like when I'm conversing with people, my passion or my aim is to try to help them, right, to impact in their lives. But in the process of that, I can get like I can go overboard. It means like I can try to do way too much with then I try to like tell myself, okay, I need to step down. Okay, that's like I'm going too far. So I think that's just the downside, not being able to know when to like stop. But yeah.
Oh, like I don't like how relatable in my mind here. And outliers, as we're having these questions here, I'm asking everyone here, but I'm also asking you, right? What is your answer to this? What enters the room when you enter the room, and what's the dark side of that as well? Um, Dorcas, like when you said that, I felt it like in my core. I was like, yeah, that that hit, that hit.
Mhm.
We're gonna keep playing with this here, but and I want to bring Celine into the conversation here from this part. Celine, tell us here, like what enters the room when you enter the room. Another way of looking at this, what leaves the room when you leave the room.
Okay, so I think, at least for me, like there's people in this world who excel at everything and it's really easy for them right off the bat. My brother's one of those people, drives me nuts. I'm one of those people who I have to put the work in. I have to practice 24/7. I have to really focus in on my trade or the skill that I'm looking to like improve or that I want to work on. So when I enter the room, someone who's going to figure it out. Like it doesn't matter what it is. If we need to get this figured out, we're going to figure it out. I'm not going to stop because I've been through the ringer in every single circumstance where I start from the bottom and you have to get up there. So if I'm there, we're going to figure it out, I think.
Yeah. Oh, so there's a couple different things here. I'm like in now. I'm in response here because you didn't know this yet, but that component of um, there's something about what you said that just really got me. I was talking to my dad the other day, and I was like feeling kind of like low on things, and um, essentially he's like, "You're someone who always figures like you just keep figuring it out, and you're gonna like do the work to get there." And as he said it, I was like, oh yeah, like that's literally how it's always worked. Even with my actuarial days, like I keep in my wallet a list of all my exam results, and I failed every exam at least once before I passed it, you know. But I kept going until I decided to stop. Even looking at this podcast, I'm like, oh, I don't necessarily know what I'm doing, but I know my body of work is being created right now, and later on, someone will come in and write a book about it or something like that. I don't know, but like I just have to show up and we will figure it out. So then I just want to let you know that like that share really like hit me deeply, and I appreciate you for it. Now let's go on to the other side of this here. Like, what's the dark side of your gift?
Okay, so I think there's kind of two tiers to this. On one tier, like this is exhausting. Like always having to put in all this effort, sometimes to get a very small amount of success or gratitude or whatever it is that you are seeking out of it. Sometimes it is just draining. Sometimes you just want to work the first time. But I think that's something that with time, and I don't know if you feel this way as well, like you get over that part. You get over that tier. And then you go up to the second tier, and there are situations in life where it's just not going to work, whatever it is. And as someone who it hasn't worked so many times and I've just kept pushing, now my weakness is recognizing when I just need to let it go because this isn't meant for me, or I've done everything I can do. And now this is just wasting my energy and everyone else's energy. So that is definitely the dark side of that.
Appreciate this here. Like, let's open up the conversation. Like now going forward. Like, if there's something someone says that resonates with you, let us know. If there's something in there that you get curious about, like let's ask some questions in here. Um, yeah, like that element of pivot or persevere, right? Um, especially knowing that like it could everything's figure outable, but like it almost at some points it's like, but is it even worth it? Like, should we even get there?
I
You
kind
know?
of think that's the kind of the power of this kind of community, and I think that's something that drew me in here today that I was really excited about. Is I'm kind of a solopreneur, so I'm working by myself all the time, coming up with ideas and implementing and doing it and doing all that, and I think it's easy just to get kind of stuck in that, like just look at yourself in the mirror and you don't really know, right? Like I could relate to that as well. Things like, yeah, should I just keep pushing? Is it, quitters never win and winners never quit, or is it like what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. It's like, okay, which common wisdom are you gonna, So I think that there's like this hive mind or this kind of group experience where you can get even somebody who just met you, can kind of say like, okay, when I looked through your website or when I heard your podcast or when I saw, your email, this is the thing that stood out. This is the thing that you should just double down on, right? Whereas like in the past, sometimes, that's been so helpful is like these little bits of feedback are just like, oh yeah. And then there's a little door that opens and, and there I go. So yeah, I think for me, that's kind of what I'm craving is more of this kind of community aspect to get that self-reflection, right?
Most definitely. And I'll put it out here. Like, this is why I bring outliers together. Like, I do panels. I like we have a outliers that's like guild, which is our community here, because I'm like, it's just like getting that reflection is
Yeah.
and that feedback, like it's just hard when you're out there having to iterate and create it on your own, and to be able to have someone who doesn't need to get it but gets you,
Mm.
like, and can ask the types of questions that will support your own thinking, because Nate, you know what needs to get done. It's just it's my experience of, I'll speak to myself, my experience is like I just feel so empowered to do everything that like
Yeah.
it's just very hard to know what the thing is to do.
Yeah.
And then when it's not working out yet, I'm like, I'm so used to like having things work that when it doesn't, I'm like what, I can't see the issue from where I am, because I made the best possible choice that I could. I wouldn't be
Mm.
doing this if I thought this was wrong. I'd be curious
Mm.
what you all think about that. How do y'all navigate things, especially when there's no path ahead of you, there's no right way or wrong way, and you're the one that's like out there discovering what the path is for yourself?
For me, I find that this may be a little cliche, but I just have to think for a second, like, okay, this isn't working. I don't know why it's not working, but like the universe has a plan for me. There's a reason why this isn't working. And let me open my ears and my eyes to the door that is opening. Because sometimes you're so focused on the door you want to open, you don't see the doors that are actually opening. And usually, when I do that and I just recenter myself, I take a deep breath, then I can revert that energy from that door that's just still locked, it isn't opening, and put it into the door that I can just go right through.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Zakata said. I've had moments in my life where, in fact, in my life, like in the journey of my life, I've gone through a lot of like failures in the past, and I've tried to do a lot of stuff that, were not working. But I think now I've come to the realization that it's okay to let go. It's okay to actually let go of that particular thing and try to seek out other options, because there's always all other options in life. Like there are many options that you don't even know, because when you're so focused on one thing, you can't really see the other side. So if you let go of that, then you'll be able to see more. So yeah, I totally agree with what Kiko said.
Mm. Yeah, that really reminded me, like the framework that I live with as much as I can through the nonviolent communication is like this idea of like our underlying needs. And for me, like that's something that I try to turn to, where it's like, okay, I'm doing this thing. Like you said, I'm attached to this strategy. I'm gonna get this thing done by this deadline. I'm gonna make this production, or I'm gonna whatever it is. And then it's like, okay, here's the action. What's the feeling? I'm feeling frustrated about it. I'm not feeling inspired. I'm feeling stressed. What's the underlying need? You know, okay, I'm wanting more freedom. I'm wanting more choice. I'm wanting more whatever. And so some that reminded me of this idea of like, okay, what do we do when we're like, how do we make that decision? And it's like, whether it's an internal conflict or a conflict between people, it's like that's what's helped me in the past is like, okay, what is the underlying need that I'm trying to fulfill here? And once I get in touch with that, then it's like all of a sudden multiple strategies kind of branch out of it, if that makes any sense.
Well, like I would love if you don't to help it make like help us get the sensation of it here.
Yeah.
Can you make this real? Give us an example of
Yeah.
like something that you recently had to think through.
So the the like one of the examples that comes to mind is like I had this I created this process to really embody this work, where it was like, okay, I'm going to look through this list of needs that's at the basic level. You know, is it safety? Is it freedom? Is it choice? Is it connection? Whatever. And I was like, okay, the need that I really want to fulfill today is connection. And then it was like, okay, how am I going to feel if I meet this need? I'll feel happy. I'll feel excited. How will I feel if I don't meet this need? I'll feel frustrated. I'll feel disappointed. And then, what can I do today to meet this need? And it was like, meet somebody new. And literally, like about half an hour later, I'm sitting there at my computer, and my wife and my daughter and her friend has a friend over. And so it's like a new person, I never met them before. And I'm usually just like, I don't really want to meet new people. I'm like, I'll just hide in my room and get some work done. And like, I just don't feel excited. But I was like, oh, I literally just said my need today is connection. I'm wanting that. And if I don't meet that need, I'm going to feel this way. If I do, I'll feel this way. So I was like, all right. So I go downstairs and I meet this new person and end up having this fantastic conversation. It ends up uplifting me. I feel so much happier. And it was like this big wake up call of like, oh yeah, like the getting in touch with that underlying need really helped me make a new choice, and recognize, am I making a choice that's going to connect with this or not? So I don't know if that makes sense. So that's the most recent example I can think of here.
Real quick. Yeah, yeah, go ahead, Celine.
Okay, sorry. I really like that example, and that's so positive, like, and that just shows how that flexibility can work. My example that I've been thinking about, I've been brewing about this for days now. So I, a year or two ago, started a podcast with, I found some people, I put them together about mental health and struggling, and we kind of just stop as things do. Sometimes they just stop. And right now, I am looking at two doors. I got my doors again. I'm going to stick with that metaphor. One door is, okay, let's wait until everyone is ready to come back and reconvene this. And one door is, you can do it by yourself. Why don't you just go out there and try and create something by yourself? So I'm literally in the thick of having to make that move, that mental move to try that new door, and like I'm feeling the feels and I'm really thinking about it, and I feel myself inching towards that door. And I don't know if maybe you guys have some, like, maybe you guys can articulate this better than me. I don't know what that feeling is that's like holding you back, but I have that feeling holding you back right now.
I can feel like when you were describing that, even kind of like have the two hands in front of you, you're like, I want to go this way, or it's like this way. Like it was like a hill and you're already rolling this way. Like your energy's already going there, is my sense. You're nodding right now. Like so you can feel like, okay, I know what the right answer is, but it sounds like there's some hesitation, right? So you're saying like, okay, what is it that's holding me back? But I guess I'm curious, like, what is it that's pulling you forward? Like, what would that mean to you to do that on your own? Like, what would that fulfill, I suppose? Like, what would excite you about that?
Um,
So, Celine, for
I'm
some
trying to.
reason, okay, good, good. For some reason, I lost your audio for a little bit. Go ahead. We can hear you
Oh,
now.
okay. Okay. Um, I just feel this sense of purpose, like
Aha.
on a smaller level. I I'm also on TikTok. I'm on all the socials, but I posted this TikTok a couple weeks ago about my family. I posted a couple now, and just the family dynamics and the family struggles and also the family love, and gotten so much feedback, probably not a huge amount, but like more than I usually do, about people who've been through the same thing, about people who are wishing me well, about, this made someone cry because they've been there too. And I think what's pushing me that way is I know I have I have a story. I have a purpose. I have something that people can relate to. And I don't need everyone else to be able to touch other people. And that's what's pushing me towards that door, that knowledge.
So Celine, I think we're all just sitting here just in witness of you. Like it is very I don't let me put it in anyone's mouth, but I think it's all really clear what Celine is like wants to do, you know? And just in case you thought it wasn't clear, it's brightly clear. Do you mind if I just acknowledge you? Okay. What I want to acknowledge is like I feel like you're being invited to answer your calling. And you ask like, do we have the words for it? I feel like this is part of your soul is calling you. And I don't know. I love to go to people who can speak the language of the soul, but the soul does its own thing, and this just doesn't it's not here to speak in our language. That's the way I look at it. Right. It's just like I can't help but do this. I can't and like so I see you letting it out little bits at a time, letting out a little light, and it's like and it shines brightly for people. Like my ass is just like you just trust it. It feels like you're coming up on a new level. And all I can say is that like I see you and welcome, and like the air is great up here and the water is warm, you know. So like whatever choice you make is going to be the right choice. But and what you're saying, I'm sure that like I'll be curious what you all have experienced and the other outliers experience here. It's like uh, I recognize you as a peer who's stepping into this next level for you, whatever that happens to be. Dorcas, Nate, anything you want to say? Celine, anything you want to bring in? Yeah, Nate,
Well,
let's go with Nate.
yeah, I mean, I echo that, and I could see, Celine, as you were talking, it was like you started glowing, you started getting brighter, and I was just thinking to myself, I was like, I would just love to hear you talk. Like you have an amazing, beautiful, calming, very balanced voice. It's just very, I was like, podcast, yes, film, yes. Like you have a way of presenting your energy and your thoughts in this very even keel, very calming way that it's not even exactly what you're saying. It's like your energy itself actually has this very healing and calming effect. So you may not realize that you're having that effect no matter what you say. And then I get this sense that like you do have a very unique story. And I'm reminded of this phrase, the more personal, the more universal. And it's like trying to speak to everybody doesn't mean anything. But if you just say, hey, this happened to me, this is how I've dealt with it, this is what I've gone through, this is how I healed, this is what I do, that's gonna like really touch like very deeply, I think, to a lot of people. And the other thing about like a calling that I think I've learned from teachers is like we think of it as like, oh, it's my calling, I'm out to go do something. But I realize there's also another side to it, is like people are asking. Like there's people out there like, what's the answer? What do I do? They're actually like asking, and your calling is in response to the amount of people asking for exactly what you have to offer. That resonates.
Yeah,
Yes.
like I really agree. I'm sorry, you
Oh
go.
no, I don't let me monopolize this.
Yeah, I was gonna add to that. Yeah, yeah, I totally like what is a key tag. I like what she does. I like the authenticness. I feel like people, not I feel like, I know that people buy more, people like pay attention to when you're being authentic, and I feel like your story gives that already, and that can really transform lives. So I think you have like you're on the right path, and your story is where transformation comes from for other people. That's the way you can impact lives. I'm saying it from this point of view because this is what I'm focused on, about impacting lives. And I impact life actually based on my life experience. Like when I'm speaking to people, I start by sharing life experiences. They tell me their problems, and I start like, oh, I was in that shoe, I was in your shoe one day, and this is how I dealt with it. So people really buy to your story, and they like the fact that you've experienced that, so they can relate it to their lives practically. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be curious too for Celine is like, what is like the one thing, like if you were to say like that you, because it sounds like you have a little bit of a shakiness in your confidence that what you have to offer is like really valued. Like somebody's going to say, oh yes, I want to hear what you have to say, or I need what you're offering there. And I guess I'm curious is like if you were to say like this is the one thing I'm really confident that I can help people with, or that I can deliver, or that like what would be like that one thing? I guess that's what I'm curious about.
So, Celine, I'm going to invite you. You don't have to answer that
Yeah.
right now, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to invite that to let that like play out here, right? And we'll
Yeah.
keep getting spaces. Like I love this year, because, and if you want to share something, feel free. We're gonna keep finding spaces to go. Like just so y'all know, y'all have lit something inside of me where I'm like I'm ready to bring back like the coaching podcast again, because I like actually working on things, versus talking about things that could be worked on. Um, and I what I get the sense of is that like we should really create some good space for us to like really be open with each other and navigate how we're leveling up, how what we're thinking through on that, and really create that space really intentionally. Um, y'all down for that at some point? Like we might just have to have like a reunion and just and do like a part two of this or something. Um, uh, Celine, my ask of you is monopolize away. Like, like my ask of you is to do you make sense? Of course you make sense. You've always made sense. And please, 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 if it's, you talked earlier about your gift of figuring things out, and you have like I've heard in our conversation a lot of anchoring around like things have always been hard for me. I always have to work harder, and so on and so forth. You might be leaning into something that's gonna come easy, right? Please don't run away from it because it doesn't feel like the other stuff that you've done, right? It might just be time for you to say yes to the ease, you know, and just go with it. And then see what happens when you figure out something that's like actually worth, like really worth bringing out for you. So just I'm putting all those things out there for you as you go in. I see you. We see it. We'll create some more space to be in like real support for you. We're coming up at the end of our time right now. Um, but I also want to just say, as my own reflection, you've ignited something in me. I can tell when my language starts to change. I can feel something growing up within me, um, and I'm grateful. I'm really grateful. This is how we're gonna start wrapping up the conversation here. This is how we're gonna do it for today. Firstly, we're gonna go to outliers and say, outliers, look, you're witnessing something, right? You're witnessing someone as they're continuously growing. And I love that we're asking ourselves these questions as we go on. There's someone in your world right now who would gain so much by having you witness them and share this episode with them. Right. Specifically, one person. We call it the one person, one conversation at a time initiative. Like, go ahead, share this out on all your socials. We love for people to go ahead and hear this. But underneath this is a movement of belonging and that element of being like, I see you. And I think that this conversation with Dorcas and Nate and Celine and Niiamah, like this conversation would really benefit you from where you are. I think underneath all the things we do, this is going to be the thing that is like the most impactful of all. Right. Let's find one person in your life and just give them the gift of letting them know that you were thinking of them. Awesome. Nate, Dorcas, Celine, we're about to wrap up here. And the way that I wrap up is we do this. We share how outliers can go deeper down the journey with us, right? So let us know how they can stay in contact with you. And then we also share an insight. What's something that you learned, what's something that you're taking away from this conversation? And if you don't have an insight, that's fine. You can just go ahead and say that. All right. Dorcas, let's start with you. Then we'll go to Nate and then we'll wrap up with Celine.
I think the insight from here for me is having to, just like what resonating with what Celine said, it's just trying to basically outdo yourself in a good way, not in a bad way. Like, try to step out of your comfort zone. Like, you might see life from a different angle, and that might be your breakthrough, or that might just lead you to your exact purpose. So that's what I took out from here. Yeah.
Awesome. And how can we deepen the journey with you?
Um, for me, but wait, sorry, do I have to mention like my personal stuff? Sorry.
No, you don't have to at all. Like if there's anything in here, if there's any way, if you want any outlier to reach out to you, how best can they do that? And if you're like, hey, like
Oh,
actually
okay.
we're good.
Okay, so you can reach out to me. You can through my email. Like I said at the beginning, I write on Substack. I encourage people. So you can follow me on Substack. My name on Substack is DAS, and that's like that's Substack, DAS, D.A.S. And yeah, you can reach out to me on Instagram. My Instagram name is Annie_E. And yeah, we can journey from that together. And I'll be happy to help. Thank you.
Uh, thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nate, let's come to you. How can people deepen the journey with you, and what's an insight you got from today's conversation?
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for making this happen. I think my insight really was like the power of the group and the community. Just kind of seeing, um, being seen by other people can kind of awaken and help us, when we feel like we're on the fence, to just say, yeah, everybody knows that it's this way, and you kind of just need that little encouragement. I want to put myself in that situation more often. I think I've been a little too isolated lately, so I'm excited about acting on that insight. And for folks that want to connect with me, languageoflife.com, languageoflife.com, my coaching work, podcasts, all that good stuff. I love to work with people and listen to them and help them move forward. And that gives me so much purpose, is kind of co-creating with people. So thank you.
Thank you, Nate. I truly appreciate you. And Celine, bring us home here with this here. An insight and how we can continue down the journey with you.
Yes. Okay. So I think I've had a lot of insights from today in this conversation, but the biggest thing is stop making things so difficult. Like you said, kind of towards the end, and I feel like it's kind of been sprinkled in a little bit. Like, it doesn't always have to be hard. Sometimes lean into it if it feels like it's moving. And that was a great insight. I personally needed that. So you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, c.kit31. And yeah, that's it, really.
Well, that's it. That's that. Like, I want to say thank you all. Like, my energy feels good. Like, I come in and I'm like, oh, I wonder what energy is going to be like. I wonder what's going to happen in these conversations. And y'all brought it. And I want to say here that I'm deeply grateful that you brought that thing that enters the room with you into this conversation. And we all have gotten a chance to be benefited to benefit from it and to be uplifted by it. Outliers, I'm going to end this by saying this to you. Remember to be you on purpose. Journey on.